What's going on, guys? This is Josh Jables, and I've got Chuck with me today. I met Chuck through Facebook on my men's self improvement page. We very much align similarly with our views. So, without further ado, Chuck, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Chuck. I just getting started in the self-improvement space in terms of like for me, it's making it a business. I'd like to be able to help other guys achieve their goals and overcome any shortcomings and mental instabilities that they may have to escape like the sad reality that a lot of men live in and better their lives so they can see what life is like as a man who's totally in control of his own life and kind of gets what he wants. So my website is The Man in the Mirror, and TikTok, Instagram is just Chuck Lugs, ChuckLeugs.
Very nice. So, Chuck, where would you say that your story begins? Because I want our audience to better understand your background and everything like that.
Right. So I would say my main self improvement began when I was about 19. Now I'm 22, but I think that all came as an upbringing of what happened to me as a kid. And it was just kind of delayed onset of the adverse effects of that when I was 19. So I'll explain. My dad passed away when I was 13,
Mm.
and my mom had to kind of like take over being like the bread maker, the mom, the dad, and I mean my mom was an absolute superhero to me, right? So she made all the money. She still like woke me up every morning, packed my lunches for school, like
Mm.
everything that she could do, or right, like it still doesn't replace what a real like masculine role model father figure can do,
Yeah.
especially at those ages of like 13, 14, 15, when having a man there to like help guide you through like your adolescence and the early stage of life is incredibly important in shaping who you become as a man, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's being that father figure. It's very big shoes to fill.
hmm Yeah. So I think what kind of happened was I did a lot of self-reflection because I was 18, 19 in college, right? Like I had like a shaved head. I was probably like 5'7", like 185, 190 pounds, like completely out of shape. Terrible with girls, still a virgin at the time. It's like I just kind of went to school, played some basketball here and there, and that was it. Like I didn't have a lot of respect from dudes and all this other stuff. And I just kind of felt like lost and
Mm.
disrespected. People were using me for my niceness and like friend zoned by girls and all this other stuff, right? And I kind of just had enough. So COVID hit 2019. We all moved back home. So college was more so like online from home. So I had all the time in the world. And I just started diving deep into fitness, into mindset, into female nature, into diet, into everything. And within about 6 months, I had grown a little bit taller. So that was nice. But then I lost about probably like 20 pounds of body fat, put on close to 10 pounds of muscle. So I was like 165, like 10% body fat, bench like doubled, squat doubled, all this stuff. And I did a lot of like writing down and I did some practices that I put in forth today. And I kind of like went back and I outlined all the different things that I did to go from sad, lonely, depressed, like unfortunately, like a lot of guys out there, to now a guy who has no troubles with women at all. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I live in one of the nicest apartments in downtown Cincinnati. I have incredibly awesome friends, old ones from college, new ones now who I just met, doctors, CEOs, stuff like that. So, just kind of how I've completely shifted my life and my trajectory in the last 2 years, all started with those first 6 months. So, one of the things that I preach about is the 6 stages of transformation that a guy goes through.
Yeah.
And the first one being the guy is like he has the victim mindset, right? Like nothing is his fault. It's
Mm.
only his responsibility when something good happens, and he kind of throws everything off. This guy is just like ignorant to the fact that most men live like a successful man lives a completely different life with a completely different like lifestyle and mindset.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
all the way up to the final stage, which is what I call the unstoppable.
Yeah, no, I think you make a very good point there. Like, it just shows you that it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you've got the right mindset and you set those goals, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
And
I always say that your mentality is reflects into your reality, right? So the world's
yeah,
just kind of one big mirror for whatever you believe it to be, right? It's because like examples would be like most people who don't believe they'll ever be able to get in shape are overweight. Never be able to make money are probably broke,
yeah, and
right?
it's almost like a self fulfilling prophecy because you're so immersed in that belief. It's almost naturally just going to come true because you're not putting in the right, you're not putting in the right effort to make that happen, and it just manifests itself into reality.
Right. Because like if you believe you're a guy who can make a lot of money and that's how you view yourself, then you're probably going to act accordingly.
Yeah,
You see
100%.
yourself fat loser is always going to be broke, and you're probably going to act accordingly. And you're going to get home from your 9 to 5 and eat chips and watch Netflix and play video games and do it again the next day.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah. So the first stage is the victim. And if you guys want to check this out, I also have this on my website. So the 6 stages of transformation, the victim. The victim is the lowest stage, and this is sadly where most men are trapped. These men are entrapped by their own mind and see no hope for change. These men have a victim mindset that nothing is their fault. They live in self pity. They have zero control over their body, their income, their dating life, and even their own mind. And I say to escape this, you must enter stage 2, right? So you have this guy who's a victim mentality. He just kind of goes through life, through the motions, and then something triggers in his head. He sees something on social media. He sees something on TV, and he finally sees the light, right? A man hits this stage. He sees other people living out his own dreams, right? Whether it's on social media, on a TV show. And he's sick and tired of being stuck in a life he doesn't want to live. Nobody respects him. Nobody likes him. He can't get girls. Completely out of control of his own life. But he sees the light. He sees someone else has done it. Now that is what he wants for himself. Now these men will start to dream. These are usually the guys who are all the talkers and none of the doers, right? So they'll talk about all the stuff they're going to do, but when it comes time to put the rubber to the road, they're still full of excuses of why they can't do it. It's not the right time, this, and this, right? So those are the first 2 stages. The victim, to get out of the victim stage, you have to see the light.
Yeah.
And then I've noticed that usually what happens after a man, quote unquote, sees the light, and then they start to really actually take some action, right? You enter stage 3. Stage 3, I call the monkey brancher. I don't know if you ever heard this term, but a lot of times it's actually used to describe women who kind of like jump from guy to guy to guy. They're called monkey branchers.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense here as well because these are the guys who they're ready to take action. They're done just dreaming about it and they want to make a change, right? And that is hard to do in itself. So congratulations to guys who are there, right? But the monkey brancher, what he does is he'll try all the different diets, all the different fitness routines, all these dating coaches, all these social anxiety programs, right? But they never see lasting success. And this is one of the hardest stages, I think, to get out of because it almost becomes like an addiction where you like binge watch this guy's YouTube videos and then you go try it for a few days, it doesn't work, and you're like, oh, well, that didn't work, so I'm going to go try this guy. And you spend 80% of your time, 90% of your time just consuming all this information and then go and act on 5% of it for 30 minutes. It doesn't work, and do it again.
Like you give up all that time and it's not even worth it because you're not growing from it. You're not developing.
Right. Like knowledge is nothing without action. It means nothing. Right. So you've known a lot more, but these guys are still usually scared to go out and put it into action. Right.
Yeah.
So usually guys will sway between stages 2 and 3. Right. So they'll see the light, then they'll start trying all these different things and they'll back off and then they'll kind of settle back down to stage 2 where they're just kind of doing their thing. They see the light again. They enter into stage 3 and they start monkey branching around again. They go back. And I've seen this be a vigorous process for a lot of guys, and some guys never escape this. They just keep looking for the same quick fix, but it doesn't work. And because of that, these guys still lack confidence. They still have negative self-talk, but they desire success so badly because they have lacked a life of abundance and happiness for so long. But the guys who are really willing to do whatever it takes enter stage 4, right? And stage 4 is, I think, where the biggest kind of shift in your mind happens. Those are stages 4 and 5, right? In stage 4, I have as accepting responsibility, right? So after you're done monkey branching, you realize there's no such thing as a quick fix program. I like to say you can't put Ferrari car parts onto a car onto a Honda Civic. Even if it looked like a Ferrari, it would still drive like a Civic, and everybody knew it would be a Civic or Prius or whatever car you wanted to make, right? You got to start with the engine, not your mind. So you have to accept responsibility. This stage is all about, I made a TikTok about it the other day. No matter where you are in life, you are 100% responsible for where you are, right?
Yeah.
When you go home and you sit on the couch and you watch Netflix and eat chips, that was your choice. You made the choice to go home and do that instead of making the choice to go to the gym. Nobody walks around with a gun to their head telling people you have to go sit on the couch or you have to go play video games. You're not allowed to talk to that girl or anything like that. Everything you do is a choice, right?
Absolutely.
When you enter stage 4 and you accept responsibility, you look in the mirror and you realize all the stuff wrong about yourself that you want to fix, as well as the stuff that's good, right? Because nobody is just 100% bad. Everybody has some positive qualities.
Yeah,
and those
definitely.
Right, and those are also your fault too. So your positive qualities are a result of what you've done over time, and so are your negative qualities.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And the men in this stage recognize that. They realize that it's essential to your progress because you realize that making bad decisions can put you in a bad place, but also that making good decisions can therefore put you in a good place, right? And when you take responsibility over your life, you then gain authority over your life. Just like how parents are responsible for their kids, in order for the parents to actually be responsible for the kids, the parents need authority over them, telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Responsibility and authority go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So if you want to take control of your own life and have authority over it, then you first need to accept responsibility for every single thing that you do. And I think you can see this in every single like high value man out there. They always blame it on themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because when you blame it on yourself, then that means you alone can fix it. But if you blame it on somebody else, that means they have to fix it. They're not waiting for them to do anything. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think arguably that's probably the most important step because it's taking that responsibility, taking that step, and in a way you have to kind of force yourself because you're coming from a kind of, you know, what some people say is like a low vibration where you've got that low, you know, those negative emotions, and it's when you take that step that everything just just goes up and up and up. And without being at that point of realization, nothing really comes of it. So I think it is probably the most important step.
It's crucial for two, and it's super empowering because you actually realize that even though you don't like your life the way it is, and even though it's 100% your fault and you kind of messed up along the way, you realize that what you do on a daily basis dictates how your life is going to be.
Absolutely.
And while it's bad now because you messed up for so long, it's empowering because you realize that if you just change what you do, you can change your entire life.
Yeah, it's like the saying, you are what you eat. You are what you do, think and feel. Everything you do has an impact on your life.
100%. That one is huge, but I think some guys can get there, they accept responsibility, and then they don't know what to do, right? And sometimes that leads to being even more depressed because they just think they're such a screw up and everything is their fault, right? So that's why it's crucial to have stage 5, which is the identity shift. And this is where you shift your identity from the man who you were to the man you want to be, right? Once you have the man who you want to be written down and visualized in your head, all you have to do is act in accordance with that man. And now the old man is gone, you turn into the new man. And the way I do this for my clients, I have an exercise for them. And every single one has said it's helped tremendously. So first, what I have them do, it's kind of a mixture of stage 4 and 5. So what I have them do is I have them get out a piece of paper, write down all of their good qualities and all of their bad qualities, right? And then I encourage them to think about how they have attained those qualities or character traits over time, right? Like a lot of guys will write down that they have social anxiety. They're not good with girls. They lack confidence. They lack this. They don't have this, right? Like, okay, so it's good that we have those on the table so we know where you're starting, right? And not a lot of people aren't born with those things. You just develop them over time. So now I'm like, okay, go do some self-reflection. Think about how those things have come into play. And I ask them questions to help figure that out. And then once they have that written down, I tell them to go look in the mirror, right? And that's when you accept responsibility. You look at all of those qualities, good or bad, you wrote down about yourself.
Yeah.
Accept responsibility. You realize that no one forced you to become those things, and you chose to become those things. But now, you change your actions on a daily basis and shift your identity. You can move away from those things and become who you want to be. So then I have them write down what the ideal version of themselves is, what he feels like, what he acts like, how he talks, how people perceive him, how he perceives himself, what he does for a living, what's his lifestyle, everything about the man they want to be. They write down all of his qualities, all of his character traits. And that's where we kind of bridge the gap. We say, okay, this is where you are now. This is the man you want to be, right? There's 20 different changes you want to make. We're going to start here, right? And then it's just making a plan and then executing the plan, right? Plan the work the plan. Boom. And then what happens is I tell whoever the client is, you have your ideal man. You need to keep that man in your head at all times. That's the man you are striving to be with each and every single choice you make, right? So now when you get home from work today, you think, what would that guy do? Would he watch Netflix and eat chips? No. Okay, well, he has these qualities. He's fit. He's in shape. Well, he would go to the gym, right? So when you go to the gym and you start to, first you kind of have to force yourself, just like anything else.
Yeah.
You have to force yourself to act like that man. But as you start to act like that man more and more and more, it just becomes subconscious. And at that point, you really do become that man, right? And that's how you get into the final stage, which is stage 6, and that's the unstoppable man, right? Yeah. You've put in the work, right? You plan the work, you've worked the plan, you've done everything day in, day out to change how you think about yourself, how you think about others, how you view reality. You've done the work on a daily basis consistently to transform your mind, transform your body, transform your lifestyle, transform your friends, do all of this, right? And then you really truly feel what it's like to be a guy who actually feels unstoppable, right? Like a guy who is so confident in himself because he went from rock bottom to the type of guy that women want and other men want to be, right? You've done that you can do it in 6 months. You can do it in less than 6 months, probably, if you were extremely disciplined, right? But then you get to see what life is like as a guy who just kind of gets what he wants. He knows how to work with people, right? And it's just, you just feel constantly like unstoppable. Like there isn't a single reason I can't do anything because no one is stopping me. Nothing is stopping me from anything I put my mind to. And when you truly actually have that belief and mentality about yourself, it transfers into every area of life, every single one. Yeah. Which is why I think that for men who struggle with confidence in general, you really need to tackle your mindset and especially your fitness, right? Strong body is a strong mind. And I kind of use fitness as a vehicle to get men there, to build build confidence, to build everything else. In some of my more upper level programs, we go more into like social anxiety. I teach you how to set goals to actually achieve them, right? And all these things that within 4 months can completely transform your life and set you on a trajectory to get whatever you want.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's all about mindset. Mindset is arguably the most important thing because how you think and how you feel about certain things are going to determine the outcome. And
100%.
And I totally agree that you could be anyone. You could be the most depressed, unhappy person there is. But as soon as you accept the situation, and you realize that there is more to life, that you can be someone far greater than you are now, you can achieve anything you want to achieve, and
100%.
there is literally nothing stopping you but yourself at that point.
Yeah. And it's like, it's tough because a lot of guys are afraid of accepting that responsibility because it means that they now have to do work.
Yeah.
Right. But for those who are willing to bear that responsibility, the sky's the limit. You can truly do anything.
And I think as well, it's almost a fear of admitting your own flaws when you don't want to accept that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on everything you've just mentioned. These are the sort of things that I would recommend whenever I do my YouTube videos. For example, when I'm talking about building confidence or making friends, I always mention fitness, because it's not just about being healthier, looking healthier. You become more confident, and confidence is just such a huge part of being successful, because
100%.
it's all about the mindset, as I've said, and it's just so important.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys talk about confidence, but they don't really understand what it is. Right? So like, if you actually break down the etymology of confidence, it comes from Latin, right? It comes from the word com, which means with, and fidere, which means to trust. It's where confidence, the word, come from.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because like, if you're confident in somebody to do something, it means that you trust that they did what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? But most guys can't even trust themselves to say whatever they're going to do. They talk about all this stuff they're going to do. They talk about how they're going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
They talk about how they're going to get better with girls. They talk about how they're going to start a business. They talk about it and they never do it. Right? So if you can't even trust in yourself to follow in your own word, when that's exactly what the meaning of confidence is. So self-confidence is just having trust in yourself with what you say to yourself. If you don't take actions that back it up, then that's why you don't have confidence. It's really all it is. It's just keeping your promises to yourself and being disciplined about it.
Yeah, definitely. And discipline is such a huge part of it. If you have no discipline, you have no self-control. I think who was it that said it now? A few CDs said, self-respect is the chief element in courage, and courage the chief element in self-control, something along those lines. And I totally agree.
Yeah, 100%. That's why it's like with my programs, everything I do, I implement at design speed and pace, which is formatted to slowly build up your discipline muscle, right? So if you join my 16-week program, within the first week, I'm not telling you to completely switch your diet, go to the gym, and do all this stuff. Like a lot of it, the first week is just mindset shifts, and I start little by little to start building up your discipline muscle, right? Because it's a muscle. Your brain's a muscle. If you have zero discipline, you have to start small, right? So if you're a guy watching this and you want to figure out, okay, how do I start building my discipline? It's as simple as like, just when you wake up and you hit your alarm, don't press snooze, just get up. When you get up, do 10 push-ups, do 20 push-ups. Just do stuff you wouldn't have normally done.
Yeah.
And then do it on a consistent basis. Make one better food choice today.
Yeah.
Then it like your discipline muscle builds, and then they start to become habits, right? So the way I have mine designed is like, I implement things over time so that by the time that you start going to the gym, you've already built a habit out of just doing push-ups every day. By the time we start getting you on a meal plan, you've already built up the habit of making better food choices. You already know more about food in the first place, right? And even in the gym, I don't start going full like 6 days a week, hour and a half sessions, right? It's like you just slowly build up the discipline so that it becomes a habit, and then you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about drilling it into your subconscious, because when it's subconscious, it's natural, it flows freely, and it's almost like you're not having to put that conscious effort in anymore. You're not having to try. Well, obviously you have to try, but it's so much easier because you've built that muscle memory.
Yep, just like with sports, with anything, right? Like when you first start dribbling a basketball, you don't know how to do everything. You have to think about it before you do it. But you look at Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving, they don't think about what they're going to do. They just do it. It just becomes subconscious. Yeah. And it's the same thing with how you act and how you think on a daily basis.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like the same thing when I first learned to play guitar, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It was so slow getting my mind around it. But now I can. It's super simple. I don't even have to think. I could probably play it in my sleep if I really wanted to.
Right. So a lot of people don't make that connection. They think just because it's not a sport or a practice like that it's different. But like when you're trying to get better at anything, you kind of have to follow the same guidelines, right? It's kind of like the same process.
Yeah.
So where you start makes a difference, but plan the work the plan.
Absolutely.
So, and that's one of the things I teach too is how to actually set goals.
Yeah.
Right. Because winners and losers, everyone has the same goal. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to have a six pack. Everyone wants all these things, but some people win, some people lose. Right. So, what makes them different? And the difference is that winners structure their plans and their goals differently than losers. What I teach guys how to do is to make a plan and set a goal so that you will 100% get it. And more or less what I do is I take, okay, 6 months from now, you want to lose 20 pounds, right? Then all you have to do is break that down into month by month. What do I need to do month by month to get there? Then, okay, what do I need to do each week of each month to get there? And what do I need to do each day of each week of each month to get there in 6 months? And now you have things to do every single day, and you make those daily actions your goal. Every day you have some goals. If you hit your goals and you stay consistent with hitting your goals on a daily basis, in 6 months you will 100% be there, right? And
yeah,
that's because most people just think about like, oh, I want to have a yacht someday. I'm going to go make more money, right? But they never make a plan. You have to make a plan with action steps that you can follow on a daily basis to help guide yourself.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I think that pretty much covers it, but is there anything else you want to finish off with?
Yeah, if you're watching and not already subscribed to Josh, then go ahead and make sure you subscribe to him. I don't have a YouTube, but follow me on TikTok. I'm going to start posting once to twice a day on there, just trying to get as much content out as possible. I cover everything from fitness to mindset, right? Because that's just kind of what I specialize in. So if you want more information on that, hit up me, hit up Josh, follow our socials and whatnot, and just get to work.
Yeah, and if you want to engage with me and Chuck, we've got a men's self-improvement Facebook group, so if you want to join the group, it's men's self-improvement. I'll leave a link in description. And yeah, it's been good having you on the show, Chuck. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.